Valorant has undergone a ton of changes in the past 2 months, and patch 2.04 is bringing even more game changes into the mix. Episode 2 Act 2 starts this week, so let's dive into what's new to start off this new season. What is up, ProGuides family? I'm your host Sergeant Frost, and today we have the patch 2.04 rundown for you guys. Before we hop in, I want to let you guys know that we have a new Valorant course on our website written by the pro player Psalm on Team Dignitas. Psalm is known for having one of the greatest strategic and analytical minds in all of esports. In this course, he covers the Valorant fundamentals ranging from aim and movement to defaulting and round development. You will finish this course with sharpened game knowledge, secrets from a pro player, and you will have the right mindset to improve. Make sure when you purchase anything on our website that you use the promo code FPS25 for a discount on anything you buy. Make sure to stick around towards the end of the video to see where the new agent ASTRA ends up on our tier list. Now, let's jump right into this rundown. Starting with the new escalation changes, the teleporters on the map Bind will have its doors locked open, so players won't be able to camp inside the teleporter. Also, while we are still on the topic of the map Bind and the mode escalation, Bind's pick rate has been reverted back to what it was before Riot reduced it back in 2.03. This map is now evenly weighted with the other escalation maps and will be monitored based on the community feedback moving forward. Now, let's move on to the significant changes that have been made to the ranking system to start off this new competitive season. Placements have changed for the start of an act. If you have already been placed for this episode, then this is what you can expect. Your rank will no longer be lowered at the start of an act. If you are Radiant or Immortal, your rank will keep your position on the leaderboard, but your rank rating points will be reduced by 90%. And all Radiant players will be bumped down to Immortal because you need to again prove that you are the best player on the server. Hitting that coveted Radiant rank now requires both being in the top 500 players in your region, as well as having a minimum amount of rating points, and we will get into more on that later. You also must finish your placement game to display on the leaderboard again for the new act. And with that being said, one of the biggest changes for this new season is that you are only required to play one placement match to display your rank. Your potential rank may change based on how you perform in your placement game, but the maximum change will be based solely off of that game. Players who have not previously placed in competitive this episode will still need to play 5 placement games to earn their initial rank. Radiant will now be much more challenging to earn moving forward. You must achieve a certain level of ranked rating points before being able to ascend into Radiant. Here are the minimum rank rating points you will need to promote into Radiant based on your region. Latin America and Korea now require 100, Brazil now requires 200, North America and APAC require 300, and last but not least, Europe will require 400. The leaderboard will be disabled briefly for maintenance at the start of this patch, so expect it to be re-enabled within 24 to 48 hours. Later on this patch, the devs will reduce the total amount of average RR per win or loss by 5. This is focused on reducing how often a player's rank will get above their MMR and leads to inconsistent rank rating point games and a wider delta between their displayed rank and MMR. These small math tweaks will be common as they try to find the correct balance of rank rating point based on issues we are seeing in the community. During this patch, the devs will change the demotion logic for players to start at 70 rank rating points instead of 80 rank rating points like it was before. Moving forward, starting with this patch, ranks will no longer be displayed in Agent Select or in-game. You will still be able to see ranks on the end of game screen though. And finally, you can now queue with a wider group of friends and teammates if you are in the lower ranks. For our final major change coming to this patch, we have tactical voiceover. Riot has added a new tactical voiceover option into Valorant. In service of improving team coordination and information sharing, they have added more context to some of the automated Agent VO lines that play during the round. This is a nice quality of life change for those players that refuse to buy a headset with a mic. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, let's get into our patch 2.04 tier list. Starting off the S tier is our boy Brimstone. Brimstone has been killing it within the meta since the buffs he received a few months ago have revitalized him as an agent. The lethal combo of using all of his abilities and having a game-changing ultimate has made him a top priority both in solo queue and in competitive. His new smokes and cheaper molly means that his abilities have a lot more pack-a-punch in a round, especially when he has the economy to buy all of them. And not to mention his stim beacon is now quick cast, which means you can help your teammates out in a pinch. Overall, these buffs he received have allowed for him to live up to his true potential, so take advantage of him while he's still one of the top smokers in the meta. Phoenix has remained in S tier for a while and for good reason. In my opinion, not much has changed about him and that's a good thing. And that's because he still dominates the map and decimates any engagement he gets into in-game. Phoenix is the top entry fragger in our S tier mostly because of his reliability and consistency when it comes to flushing out enemies on sites. Not to mention he's one of the most self-sufficient agents with his own healing, and his ultimate is a true playmaker. Phoenix is an agent that must be respected when he pops off, and no other agent can make an entire team run and hide for their lives. Phoenix has been a king at the top of the Valorant meta for quite some time now, and unless some changes come his way, he's not going to be moved anytime soon. Closing out the S tier is ASTRA. A lot of you might ask, why is ASTRA in S tier? So let me tell you why. No matter how complicated and non-beginner friendly her kit can be, ASTRA has an abundance of crowd control built into every single one of her abilities, and that can be straight up OP when put into the hands of an intelligent player. She has a stun, she has an AoE pull that makes people fragile, she has hollow smokes, and her ult can zone off an entire enemy team. ASTRA has more crowd control in her kit than the tank champion Nautilus from League of Legends. While we will have to see how she works out in the meta, it's safe to assume that an ASTRA player that has foresight and has a good idea of how to divide and conquer the map with her stars will be able to solo carry games as long as she stays alive till the end of every round. Starting off the A tier is the spooky boy OMEN. OMEN has been a very viable and sought after agent within the meta, but his high pick rate led to him getting nailed by some impactful nerfs back in patch 2.0. Riot wanted to bring him back in line with the other controllers in Valorant, so they needed to nerf his smokes and his flash because they were the sole reason he was getting picked in most professional and ranked games. OMEN is still within a great place within the meta, despite BRIMSTONE being a notch above him in productivity as a smoker agent and ASTRA being introduced into the game. JETT has fallen into A tier mainly because ASTRA has taken her spot as a heavily contested agent within the meta. Not much has changed about JETT even after her smokes received nerfs, and personally I believe that that's a good thing. A good JETT can dominate and take over a game whether she has an AWP, rifle, or anything else she can get her hands on. The reason why her pick rate has been falling recently is because right now we are in the midst of a flash meta that has made JETT a less sought after entry frag because of the lack of CC and flashes in her kit. Personally, I believe that she can still put in work when the player playing her can vibe with her kit in game. Next up in the A tier is SOVA. Our Russian comrade has been holding his own at the top of the solo queue meta. If our tier list was focusing solely on high elo and pro play, I would probably put him at the top of S tier. On the solo queue side of Valorant, however, SOVA is still a good agent that needs a lot of proactive play and a lot of practice in order to make him work. Unfortunately, that is not a time commitment that many casual players want to put into learning a new agent. So in response, they will gravitate towards the less mechanically demanding agents within the game. Despite his shortcomings and many players overlooking him, a well-trained SOVA can dominate any team with ease. Breach is in a great spot right now because of how well his kit sets up other agents to dominate. Don't expect Breach to go anywhere as the meta shifts over the course of episode 2. He may not be the best agent to use when solo queued, but when you're playing with a stack of friends, a good Breach can tear apart any game. No agent shines more in coordinated play than a good Breach can. Breach received several buffs over the past few months that have put him ahead of his fellow initiating comrades. It would be in your best interest to add the Swedish cyborg into your agent arsenal as soon as possible. Now starting off the B tier, we have CYPHER. CYPHER may be a man of few words, but he is certainly a man with a very low pick rate after the nerfs he received earlier last year. And while the nerfs may be annoying to deal with in game, he is no less of an agent than he was before he received them. CYPHER's nerfs he received to his tripwires and cameras have made him less effective at doing his job he once did so well. And with the release of Skye in episode 1 act 3, her abilities are much better at gathering info than CYPHER's abilities are currently. Don't get me wrong, CYPHER is still a great info gathering agent, but there are more agents in the game that do what he does just better. Last patch, the devs came for REYNA's throat because they were frustrated with how she was destroying the solo queue meta, but underperforming in pro play. First off, REYNA had her charges for her main abilities Devour and Dismiss decreased from 4 to 2 charges. They also increased the price of each charges from 100 to 200 credits. And now she also has the ability to pick up one of the orbs even if she didn't secure the kill. These changes were the equivalent of REYNA taking an arrow to the knee power-wise. And that's because she now has to make hard decisions on whether to use her charges to heal herself or get away in a fight. REYNA is like a seesaw. She will either be really good and win you the game, or she will be really bad and lose you the game, and there is no in between. YORU has been out for over a month now, and he has shown his true colors within the meta. YORU has quickly fallen to being the lowest pick rate and lowest win rate agent in the game. And believe me, that is not a good look for the newest agent currently added into the game. Honestly, I don't think YORU is terrible. It's just that all the other entry frags in the game just do his job better, or offer something that his kit cannot. Hopefully Riot sends some changes his way so that he can get the attention he deserves. Because trust me, with his current kit, he does have the potential to shine. When KILLJOY was hit hard with the Sentinel nerfs last year, her pick rate and win rate plummeted as a result. Riot wanted her to go from a passive sight denial agent to an active sight denial agent, and they met that goal by taking most of the power out of her abilities except for her ultimate. KILLJOY now needs to be within a certain range of her abilities in order for them to be active, and now they permanently disable upon her dying. These nerfs take away from KILLJOY's ability to rotate and have a bigger presence while playing on the map. Don't get me wrong, she still has the best non-damage oriented ultimate in the game, but due to her restricted capabilities of moving around the map, she has to remain down in the tier list. RAZE is simply put not the best agent to choose if you want to carry games as an entry frag. She has no healing or flashes in her kit, so she is totally outclassed by the likes of REYNA and Phoenix. She is not as OP as she once was in beta, but she certainly isn't the most useless entry frag in the game at the moment. While she doesn't have flashes or self-healing, she does do a lot of damage, and when used right, she can be a very difficult agent to deal with in game. Closing out the B tier, we have Viper. Viper finally got her 15 minutes of fame within the meta after her popularity spike on Icebox in Europe. More Vipers have been popping up in rank play throughout the world in hopes of trying to find the same success she has seen in pro play. She is now confirmed by Riot to be the next up on their list for receiving changes on the possible level of a rework, so now is the perfect time to get yourself comfortable with her kit and learn her as much as possible. My advice to all you one-day Viper mains is to try learning her on Icebox and Bind first to get the most success with her as possible. The more you learn more about her and her kit, the more useful she will become over time. From there, you will be able to find more success with her on any map in the game. Skye has fallen to C tier on our tier list because she is not a practical agent for most team comps. Ever since she came out, her pick rate and win rate have plummeted, and I think we know why. Skye just doesn't fill a specific role within a team comp, and a lot of players are starting to realize that now. Her kit design is a jack of all trades and a master of none. I mean, most players that play her just want her heal and her flashes, but once she runs out of those in game, she's literally useless. The other half of her kit doesn't help her case out as well, and that's because her ultimate and Tiger Trinket can get shot out before they even become useful after you deploy them. Skye has had an identity crisis now within the meta, and it's gonna take some changes from the devs in order for her to figure it all out. Rounding out the tier list is everyone's favorite most nerfed agent of all time. Sage has been getting the short end of the stick balance-wise for the past 6 months now. Honestly, I think the reason she was nerfed this heavily is so that Riot can make people forget about her, while they figure out a way to rework her or significantly change the power in all of her abilities. Personally, I think Sage is still a very serviceable agent when used right, and that's mainly because she arguably has the most game-changing ultimate in the game. Hopefully changes for her come through soon though, because the Sentinel class needs some love if they don't want to fall out of the meta forever. Well everyone, that's all we have for the patch 2.04 rundown. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload from ProGuides. We upload new videos just like this one every day, so don't forget to check back soon. Alright everyone, this has been Sergeant Frost with the patch 2.04 rundown. Make sure to connect with me on my social media, and I will see you all in the next one.